Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome students on today's lecture, that is elasticity of demand. Today we'll try to discuss or we'll acquire the knowledge on the importance of elasticity of demand. And after completion of this module, this lecture, you will able to learn the concept of elasticity of demand. 2. The types of elasticity of demand, degrees of elasticity of demand, measurement of elasticity of demand, and the factors determining elasticity of demand. Dear friends, elasticity of demand, first let us discuss what is elasticity we mean. Elasticity is the proportional or percentage change in one variable to the proportional change in another variable. Meaning by, if one factor will change, suppose if the price will change, then how much demand will affected due to change in price, that is elasticity of price. Elasticity is measured to or measure of the degree of sensitivity or responsiveness of one variable to change in another variable. When one variable means the factor which is vary with the change of price or demand. When one factor will change, then how it will affect the other factor, that is elasticity. But we'll discuss on the elasticity of demand. We know the elasticity, and now we also know elasticity of, we know the concept of demand, and we also know the elasticity. Elasticity is simply the ratio between an cause and effect, and always in percentage terms. Cause and effect relationship, and will always be in percentage terms. E, here we mean elasticity. Percentage change in X due to percentage change in Y is elasticity. Now, let us discuss the types of elasticity of demand. There are three main types of elasticity of demand. 1. Price elasticity of demand, means when the price of the commodity will change, then what will happen on the quantity demanded, how much quantity demanded will change, how the price will affect and how much it will change the quantity demanded, that is elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand, when income of the consumer will change, then what will happen on the quantity demanded of the consumer. And third one, cross elasticity of demand. Cross elasticity of demand means it when the price of a related commodity will change, then what will happen on the related goods. For example, if the price of tea will change, then what will happen on the demand of coffee? Or if the price of Coca-Cola will change, then what will happen on the demand of Pepsi, which are related goods. So let us discuss one by one all these three types of elasticity of demand in detail. First, price elasticity of demand. As its name explains, price elasticity means price elasticity of demand measure the change in the quantity demanded due to change in its price. If the price will change, then what will happen on the quantity demanded of the consumer. It is a measure of the degree of sensitivity of demand to change in the price by assuming that other factors remain constant. Meaning why we have to assume here that there is no change in the taste and preference of the consumer. There is no change in the income of the consumer. There is no change in the related price of related goods. Then what will happen if the change of price of commodity and how it will affect the quantity demand, how much it will affect the demand of a commodity. Price elasticity of demand is a measure of how much the quantity demanded of a goods responds to a change in the price of that goods. Again, price is independent factor here. It will affect the quantity demanded, but how much, that is we'll discuss in elasticity of demand, or we can measure through elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand simply can be calculated through this formula, that percentage change in quantity demanded due to percentage change in its price. If 1% change in price of the quantity of a commodity, then how much change in quantity demanded? If 1% increase in price, and if there is a 1% decrease in quantity demanded, means unitary elasticity of demand. And if percentage change in price more than quantity demanded, means if less change in price, more change in quantity demanded, we can see this is greater than unitary elasticity of demand. And when there is a more change in price but less change in quantity demanded, means less than unitary elasticity of demand. We'll discuss one by one in detail all these factors or these concepts through diagram. And you know that in this subject in economics, diagrams play a very important role to understand the concept. Because the price elasticity of demand measure how much quantity demanded respond to the price, it's closely related to the slope of demand curve. And we know that what is demand curve? Demand curve is a graphical representation of quantity demanded and price. In the last lecture we have discussed in detail about the demand curve. Individual demand curve, market demand curve. Even the expansion in demand curve and contraction in demand curve. Expansion in demand curve, movement on the same diagram. Whereas shift in demand curve or increase or decrease in demand curve, when whole demand curve shift, right hand side or left hand side, we know all these things. Now, in economics, the study of the concept of elasticity can be divided into 5 types, which are also known as degrees of price elasticity of demand. Degrees of price elasticity of demand. Perfectly elastic demand. 2. Perfectly inelastic demand. 3. Unitary elastic demand. 4. Greater than unitary elasticity of demand, and less than unitary elasticity of demand. 5 types of, these are also known as degrees of price elasticity of demand. Let us discuss one by one all these 5 types. First, perfectly elastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand means when demand, perfectly elasticity of demand is one in which any quantity will be bought at the prevailing price, but any rise or any change in price will cause quantity demanded fall to zero, infinity. Quantity demanded changes infinity with any change in price. If there is a small change in price of a commodity and there is a demand, there's a huge change in quantity demanded, maybe the small price will change, the demand will be zero. This can be happen in case of non-essential goods. Maybe this is possible if the price of the quantity which are not essential will increase immediately, the demand can be zero, demand can be the decrease up to any extent. Perfectly elastic demand can be explained with the help of this diagram. Here, y-axis we have price. Here, on the x-axis we have quantity demanded, and this is demand curve, horizontally demand curve. In case of perfectly elastic demand, elasticity of demand is equal to infinity. Elasticity of demand is infinity, means any change in price, the demand can be zero and it can be up to any extent. So this is perfectly elastic change in demand due to change in price. Secondly, perfectly inelastic demand means any change on price will not affect the quantity demanded of a consumer. We can say this is perfectly inelastic demand. Quantity demanded does not respond any change due to change in prices. We mean this is the inelastic demand. The following diagram explains about the inelastic demand. Like this. Here we have quantity demanded and this side we have prices. Now the point is, here on x-axis we have quantity demanded, y-axis we have price. If the price of the commodity will change, for example P to P1, if the quantity demanded will not change, there is no change in quantity demanded, it means perfectly inelastic demand. If price will change P1 to P2, but there is no change in quantity demanded, this is perfectly inelastic demand. Any change in quantity demanded, price will not affect the demand of the quantity. For example, salt. If the price will be maybe 5 rupees, quantity demanded 2 kilo per month, and even if the price of the salt will increase, salt and maybe another basic necessities, if price will increase P1 to P2 or maybe 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 200 rupees or 200 rupees, but quantity demanded remains same, this is, we can say, perfectly inelastic demand. Means any change in price will not affect the quantity demanded, we can say perfectly inelastic demand. Unitary elastic demand. Quantity demanded changes by the same percentage, equal percentage. If the percentage change in price 1%, quantity demanded will be equal to 1% change. With the help of following diagram, we can explain this also. Unitary means equal percentage change. This is P to P1, P1 to P2, here P2, and there is a decrease in Q1 to Q2. Equal percentage, equal change. P to P1, P1 to P2, it should be P2, and here Q1 to Q2. Equal ratio. Unit elastic demand or unitary elasticity of demand. Greater than unitary elasticity of demand. Greater than unitary elasticity of demand is one in which a given percentage in price will cause more than percentage change in quantity demanded. Means if 1% decrease in price, maybe 5% increase in the quantity demanded, or 1% increase in price, or maybe 5% decrease in quantity demanded. means the percentage change in prices. If the demand will be more than that, we can say greater than unitary elasticity of demand. Through this diagram we can explain unitary elasticity of demand greater than unitary elasticity of demand. If the price will increase P1 to P2, the quantity demanded will decrease more than the gap between P1 to P2 is less than Q1 to Q2. Here x-axis we have quantity and this side we have prices, y-axis we have prices. Meaning why change in price, there is less change in price but more change in quantity demanded is called as greater than elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand is more than 1. Similarly, less than unitary elasticity of demand. Less than unitary elasticity of demand is 1 in which a given percentage in price will cause less than percentage in quantity demanded. The rate at which prices of the commodity will change, the quantity demanded will change less than that price, we can say less than unitary elasticity of demand. Let us discuss with the help of next diagram here. There is a more change in prices. P1, P2 is greater than Q1 to Q2. DD is the demand curve. X-axis we have quantity, y-axis we have price, and Q2, Q1. Less change, more change in price but less change in quantity demanded. Less than unitary elasticity of demand. Now, which factor determining the price elasticity of demand? The main factor that determining the elasticity of demand. First, nature of goods. We mean whether the commodity which you are purchasing or a consumer is purchasing, that is perishable in nature or durable in nature. That will determine the price elasticity of demand. Maybe price elasticity of demand in case of durable commodity will be more as compared to perishable goods. Availability of substitutes. Substitute means where you can substitute one quantity with another. So, if the commodities are availability, the price elasticity may be more or less. It depends upon the availability of substitutes and their price. Goods with different uses. We know that various goods have, some goods have that they can use in the various uses of that one goods. For example, milk we can use for drink, we can use for tea, we can use for curd, we can use for another purpose also. So it determines the price elasticity of a commodity. Income of the consumer, another important factor which determines the price elasticity of demand. And proportion of income spent on a commodity. How much proportion you spent on a commodity, that is also important factor. And price level lastly. These 6 factors are main determinant of price elasticity of demand. Now, why this price elasticity of demand is important? The application of price elasticity of demand. Pricing decision of the business organization. When business organization decide the price of the commodity or pricing policies of the commodity, they study the price elasticity of demand. That if we increase the price, how it will affect the quantity demanded by the consumer. If we decrease the price, how much we should increase the price, and how much the price of a commodity should be there. The price elasticity of demand play an important role in pricing decision of the business organization. Similarly, pricing regulation by the government. When government fix the price of a commodity or regulate the price of the commodities, frame the price policies, the price elasticity of demand play very important role here. Even the use of, it is also use of international trade. the trade between two countries, international trade, fiscal policy, the policy of the government, the policy of revenue and expenditure of the government, the price elasticity of demand play a very important role in determining these policies. Now, second important is income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand means how much quantity demanded of a good response to change in the consumer of the income. If there is an increase in consumer income, how much change the quantity demanded of a commodity may be equal, which you call unitary income of elasticity of demand. Maybe percentage change in income of the consumer will be more, but the quantity demanded will be less than the rate at which the income of the consumer changes. Or sometimes there's small change in income of the consumer, there can be more change in the quantity demanded of a product. It depends. So how much the quantity demanded of goods respond to change in the consumer income, we can measure with the help of income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand can define percentage change in quantity demanded for products due to percentage change in income by assuming other factors remain constant. Here again, we have to assume that other factors other than income that remain constant. There is no change in taste and preference of the consumer. There is no change in other prices of the commodity, etc. Related commodities, and even the other prices. A measure of degree of responsiveness of demand for a good change in income. How the quantity demanded will respond due to change in income of the consumer, we can say this is the income elasticity of demand. Like price elasticity of demand, change in quantity demanded due to change in price. Here similarly, change in quantity demanded due to change in income of the consumer. This is the formula. Percentage change in quantity demanded due to percentage change in income of the consumer. EY means income elasticity of demand. We can measure percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change of the consumer. Now, degrees of income elasticity of demand, similar degrees like price elasticity of demand, positive income elasticity of demand. Positive means as income increases, the demand for commodity will increase. Whereas in case of price elasticity, higher the price, lower the demand. But here positive income elasticity means as income increases, maybe demand for commodity will increase. But it can be unitary income elasticity of demand. Means equal percentage change. If 1% change or 5% change in income and 5% change will be quantity demanded, unitary. Less than unitary income elasticity of demand means more percentage change in income, but there is less change in quantity demanded. More than unitary elasticity of income elasticity of demand means small change in income, percentage change in income, but more change in quantity demanded. This is called as more than unitary income elasticity of demand. Same diagram we can use like price elasticity of demand. We have already used. Negative income elasticity of demand, maybe in case of inferior goods, maybe in case of some given goods or some other goods. Any increase in income, maybe demand for a particular commodity can be reduced, decrease. Zero income elasticity of demand, there is no change. For example, salt. Any increase in income, the demand of salt will not increase. So these are the degrees of income elasticity of demand. Let us discuss the determinants of income elasticity of demand. Again, the nature of products, It depends upon the nature, whether the commodity is perishable in nature, durable in nature, which type of commodities. Level of income of a country, that's again very, very important. More income, more expenditure, more purchasing power, more demand. It depends that how much income, level of income in a country. Time period, these are some important factors. Third is gross elasticity of demand. Gross here we mean there is a mutual relationship between change in price and quantity demanded of two related goods. Change in the price of one commodity can cause change in the demand of related goods. How much change will take place due to change in the price of one commodity? For example, if there is a increase in price of petrol, how much change demand will change of the vehicle? That is the gross elasticity of demand. If the price of coffee or tea will change, then how it will affect the related price of related commodity. Gross price elasticity of demand measures how much the quantity demanded of a good responds to a change in the price of another goods. Gross elasticity of demand is the ratio of percentage change in the quantity demanded for one product to a percentage change in the price of another related product, if other factors remain constant. Here we have to assume that other factors like taste and preference of the consumer, income of the consumer, and other related factors are remain constant. There is no change in these factors. So how much change will take place due to change in the price of one commodity and the demand of another commodity? Like we can calculate the gross elasticity of demand, that percentage change in quantity demanded of a product X due to percentage change in the price of product Y. Gross elasticity of demand. And similar degree can be there. Positive gross elasticity of demand, negative gross elasticity of demand, zero gross elasticity of demand. Positive gross elasticity of demand, maybe change in price of X will be increase the demand of Y. Negative gross elasticity of demand, increase in the price of Y, decrease in the demand of X. And similarly there can be other facts. Zero gross elasticity of demand. Any change in a related commodity will not affect the price. You know that the price of related commodity will not affect the demand of related goods. Zero elasticity of demand. So three types, 3 degrees of gross elasticity of demand. Positive gross elasticity of demand, negative gross elasticity of demand, zero gross elasticity of demand. Now there can be another part, that advertising or promotional elasticity of demand. Advertising elasticity of demand helps to measure the change in quantity demanded of a product to change in expenditure on the advertisement and other promotional activities. Means how much if you promote a commodity, you spend more and more money on advertisement or the promotional activities, then how much demand of the product will change. This is another type of the elasticity of demand, which is also one of the important factors if you see in the concept of elasticity of demand. Some important observation. When demand is elastic, a decrease in price will result an increase in revenue. When demand is elastic, a decrease in price will result an increase in the revenue, sales of an organization, of a company. But when demand is inelastic, A decrease in price will result decrease in revenue or sales of a company. And when demand is unit elastic, an increase or decrease in price will not change in the sales or revenue of an organization.